Hey, it's Mrs. G, and today we're going to be exploring the third biological kingdom, Kingdom Fungi. Let's do it. Now, it's important to note before we start that every organism in this kingdom is a heterotroph, meaning that they do not make their own food. They have to obtain it from somewhere else. They also all reproduce in a kind of unique way using spores. If you have access to mushrooms, it would be really helpful to observe them as part of this topic, but where I live, it's not really the right time of year to find good mushroom specimens. So, some common household substances that also fall into this category, like yeast and mold, are going to be the ones that we look at today. I'm going to show you what these specimens look like under a microscope. Let's do the yeast first. To prepare this specimen, I mixed about a tablespoon of active dry yeast with a cup or so of warm water. Make sure your water's not too hot because it could actually kill the yeast since the yeast is living. I added to that about a teaspoon of sugar to feed the yeast and then mixed it really well. After several minutes, I know that the yeast is living because I see a layer of foam bubbles at the top of the glass from the carbon dioxide that's produced as the yeast ferments. It's going to smell a little bit like bread dough. To get a closer look at the actual yeast cells, I will put a drop of the yeast water solution on a microscope plate along with a drop of bromothymol blue cell stain. Here's what I saw at medium power on my microscope. Those bigger bubbles, kind of at the bottom of the screen, are just air bubbles. And here's what I saw at high power. It's hard to tell on my screen, but at home, make sure you're looking for yeast cells that have another cell attached to them. This is an example of budding. Next, we're going to look at mold. I've grown some mold on a slice of bread by putting several drops of water on the bread and then sealing it in a plastic bag and leaving it on a sunny windowsill for a few days. You could also grow mold on a piece of fruit or a vegetable easily using a similar method. If you are doing this lab at home, be sure to use gloves and wash your hands really well after handling the mold. I will place a small amount of the mold on a microscope slide, add 1 drop of water and a cover slip, and then look at it with all magnifications under my microscope. All right, and here's what I saw. The smooth round structures in the picture that I took here are the mold spores. You definitely do not want to breathe these guys in. So hopefully you've noticed throughout this chapter that members of Kingdom Fungi are more complex and varied than members of Kingdom Protista, and they're often used for practical reasons like food and medicine. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this video, or if you're interested in private tutoring over video or in person in the Kansas City area, please reach out to me via the email that's going to be on the screen. If this video was helpful, I would really appreciate you subscribing to my channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.